What's up, duelists? Deck Devastators 1 was this past weekend. It was very hype. 142 entrants, pretty big prize pool. It was hosted by, I believe, Snack and Spiral and Carpath in the EdisonFormat.com Discord. Very big Edison tournament. Definitely a fun event for everyone who entered, especially the people who got top 8, which is what we're going to cover right now. We're gonna cover the top 8. We're gonna cover the deck list. I'm also gonna talk about the metagame a little bit at the end. I'm gonna talk a little bit about a couple of deck lists I thought were sweet from the top 32, and that's about it. This is the first place at 7th. The way double elimination works is there's two 7th places, so this is 7th and 8th are the same placement. This was the first place at 7th, the first top 8 deck list at 7th. This is the Diva Hero Beat deck. This deck is very cool from Richie. Powerful duelist. This list is almost identical to the one I covered on the channel like pretty recently, like a few days ago, even maybe a week ago, roughly a week ago, where someone in Sweden actually took this to top 4 in a paper tournament in Sweden. It basically says, okay, we got the Wind Blasts and we got the Divas from the Diva Hero builds, but then we also got the Sparks and the Alias, so we're not as weak to oppression. Instead of playing like Caius and Evil Guy and Dark Armed and stuff. You do still have like Plague and Malicious and the Synchro plays, and you have the powerful Stratos Windblast, but then you also have like easy Stardust Skill Drain lines, or you have like, Alias plus Gemini Spark to break up Oppression play. So I think this list is very solid. It does a good job into the metagame. I can imagine this deck having a much better Blackwing matchup than either the regular Hero Beat decks that play like Royal Oppression, or the regular Diva Hero decks that lose to Oppression. So I could see this deck doing a little bit better into the field. 42 cards. I'm not sure how optimal that is, but it ended up working out for him. I wonder if there's any math behind it. Like you have 3 E-calls, 1 Rhoda, 1 Stratos. Maybe 42 gives you like the perfect percentage or some shit where you don't draw Gilman or don't draw Double Mally, but you see Stratos often enough. I don't know. Sideboard, very fairly standard stuff. Two side res, 2 crows, 2 snowman eaters, triple dust, 2 pulling, triple shadow mirror for the value matchup, I'm assuming, and then a Starlight Road for Blackwings, I'm assuming. Extra deck, straightforward as hell. I can't speak today. I'm nerfed. No Gaia in the extra. Apparently it just never came up. Makes sense, I guess. Okay, next top 8 deck list is 10-Foot Dick, aka 10FD, censored in most Discord servers and on Dueling Book. He was playing his Vayu deck. This is pretty much the same deck he's played before. He's got double main deck Dust Tornadoes, and he's got only 1 Oppression in the main. This is an adjustment to play against the mirror, against Blackwings, and against... he just expected more or less decks that weren't so weak to Oppression, since the metagame right now is heavily leaning towards Blackwings. His other inclusions are triple D Prison, 1 Bottomless in the main. I wonder why he didn't include the second Bottomless literally anywhere, because I actually do think Bottomless is pretty good against Blackwings in specific. Like, I think, especially against the Black Whirlwind Blackwings, which is the most popular deck, Bottomless Trap Hole is pretty fucking good. So, a little interested to see hear why he maybe only main decked the 1. And then the monster lineup it's very standard, except for there's a Tech Spirit Reaper, which is kind of cool. It's just a random Spirit Reaper. It's just kind of cool. I wonder what that thought process on the Spirit Reaper is. Double Caius, cutting 1 Caius, getting a little bit more slim, playing the full 3 Sirocco. Again, very good for the mirror match, very good for Blackwings. Slight changes to the list here and there definitely affected his performance. And then the side deck, pretty straightforward. No Cyber Dragons anywhere, which is very interesting. He elected not to go for the Chimera Tech for the extra deck space, and no Cyber Dragons anywhere. Maybe he thought Cyber Dragon's not the best against Blackwings. Maybe he thought Cyber Dragon's not the best in this deck. Maybe he thought I'm not going to face against any Machinas, or if I do, I'll just beat them. So I don't know. I'm curious why he didn't play the Cyber Dragons. I guess it makes sense if you're like maining Oppression, you're trying not to conflict with your own Oppression, but Cyber Dragon's really good. It's just really good, especially against stuff like, I don't know, it's just a really good card, so I don't know. I wonder why he didn't play them. All right, next deck is 5th place, J-Zap with Gladiator Beast. This deck is very interesting. It's 45 cards. Again, over 40 for reasons I don't fully understand, but I do like this list. I like the monster lineup. It's pretty similar to the monster lineup that I played in my Gladiator Beast list, except the only difference is he has 2 Prismas, he has 1 less Laquari and 1 less Gores. So it's pretty similar. It's almost exactly the same, except he's elected to main the Prismas and not play Gores and not play, what's that other guy? The third Liquari. And that's interesting. That's interesting. That's an interesting choice. Another interesting choice in this deck list is to go the full 3 Shrink, but 0 Book of Moon. Shrink is cool. I mean, Shrink is good at making it so your guy sticks through bottomless trap pull and stuff. And, you have a damage step trick and whatnot. But Book of Moon's also pretty good. Like, I think Book of Moon is fairly solid. Shrink does give you an out to Stardust Dragon a little bit easier. So I can see why Shrink is a little bit more valuable in the strategy. And I can see why 3 Shrink might be the direction moving forward. He also elected to main the Heavy Storm and the Cold Wave. These are 2 cards I don't have in my list. I wonder why. I mean, Cold Wave is obviously a very broken card. It's kind of one of those cards that doesn't see as much play as you think it would, if that's the right way to put it. Like, I feel like Vayu could play Cold Wave very effectively. I feel like there are a lot of decks that could play Cold Wave that just don't for no real reason, and I'm not sure why. Triple Smashing Ground. Smashing Ground is great in the meta. I think Smashing Ground is good against both Vayu and Blackwings, contrary to popular opinion. I think it's especially good versus Blackwings. It's a great way to, either force an Icarus attack or turn off an Icarus attack. That's why I like Smashing Ground. It's also excellent in the mirror match against Glads, so I think triple smashing in Glads is good. In my list, I only had 2 for space concerns, but clearly space wasn't a concern for J-Zap. He just went up to 45. Double Trap Stun, maining the Dust Shoot, double Starlight Road, no Dark Bribe, maining 1 Dust Tornado. That is an inclusion in one of my lists as well. The Trap Stun seemed pretty good for J-Zap, or just pretty good in general in the tournament, but I wonder why he ended up on these ratios, where he's like, I want 2 Road, 2 Trap Stun, 1 Dust, no Mirror Force anywhere in the list, no Torrential anywhere in the list. Maybe just wanted to banish things. I'm not sure. Maybe he thought Mirror Force is only ever going to be a Sakuretsu armor, because with all this spot removal, your opponent's never going to have more than 1 threat active at any moment anyway. I don't know. Cool list. Main deck in the E-Call. I mean, there has to be a reason, some sort of mathematic reason why he ended on 45, because there are a lot of easy cuts here, that, at least in my opinion. Like, you can just cut an E-Call. You can just cut, like, a Trap Stun. You could cut, like, a Shrink. You could cut a Smashing Ground. You could cut, a Prisma. And then you just have a whatever card list. You have a 40 card list. So there has to be, I think, a mathematical reason. Maybe he was, like, drawing these 4 bricks right here. Like, Glads does play a lot of bricks. Murmillo, Rediari, Secutor, and Salmonite are all technically bricks. I mean, Salmonite's decent, at least, but the other 3 are fucking terrible cards. So I think maybe he just wanted to minimize his risk of drawing these bricks. I like the theory behind this. I'm curious to try it out. Sideboard, very interesting. He has 1 copy of Gladiator Beast Andal. This is a sideboard tech that people used to play in the past, according to famed Gladiator Beast Cameron Saunders, because it helps you deal with other, like, 1900 vanilla decks. At least it's trading with an alias, right? At least it's attacking over Ashura. It's attacking over these annoying cards like Haiku, or, like, trading with a Thunder King. It's just a beat stick that you can search for off of Proving Ground that helps you effectively trade with stuff. It attacks over a Stratos, which I think is pretty big. I think Andal just has some niche applications here and there. Is it a card I would ever play? Probably not. If I'm going to be real, I don't think it's that good. But hey, I mean, if it works out, it works out. And it must have helped him in the Hero Beat matchup, because he placed a little bit higher than all the Hero Beat players. There's a lot of Hero Beat players in this tournament. Second Rediari, second Sidra on the sideboard. Both those make sense. Brain for the mirror match, that makes sense. Trunade makes sense. 2 Lightning Vortexes for clearing shit, makes sense. Kind of interesting to have 2 Lightning Vortex, no Mirror Force. I wonder the thought process there. I guess Lightning Vortex is more proactive at clearing defensive threats, but generally speaking, Glads doesn't really deal with defensive threats. I don't know. I wonder what the thought process is on including Lightning Vortex. I guess Lightning Vortex, you can play it and then summon a monster and attack in the same turn. Whereas Mirror Force, you can play it and then they can play a monster in main phase too. So Mirror Force doesn't guarantee you a battle phase, whereas Lightning Vortex kind of does. I guess that makes sense, if I'm thinking about it theoretically. Dark Bribe is in the board. Must be for, like, other Cold Wave decks or decks where Dark Bribe has value. Dust Tornado, again, more back row clearing. Light Imprisoning for Lightsworn, obviously. Pulling the Rug for Monarchs. And then siding 2 Royal Oppression. This is a card that I'm on the fence on in Glads. It obviously fucks your own strategy really hard, but it's a broken card. So it's kind of like, Do you play it? Do you not play it? It's obviously pretty good with the trap stuns and the cold wave to be able to shut it off, and the true nade as well, but I don't know. It's a tough one for me. It's a tough one to include in this deck. It obviously worked out well for JZap, so congrats to him on this top 5 finish. Next place, also 5th place. So 5th and 6th, same thing as 7th and 8th in double elimination. They're the same placement, basically. Another Gladiator Beast deck. So there was 2 Gladiator Beasts in this top 8. This one is kind of the polar opposite of JZap's deck. First thing you notice, 0 Test Tigers. 0 Test Tigers. Why? I don't know. I mean, I don't think Test Tiger is that bad of a card. Even like I feel like Test Tiger Secutor, that kind of thing is like, that's the power in Gladiator Beast. Otherwise, you're just playing a really weird version of Hero Beat, right? Like, you're just playing a really mediocre version of Hero Beat. He might be just leaning super hard into a quest looping Chariot, I guess, is my thoughts here, is like hoping a quest Chariot looping is good enough. The trap lineup is also very intriguing. He's got double Bribe, double Jar of Greed, single Torrential Tribute, cards you don't normally see in Gladiator Beasts. You don't normally see Torrential Tribute in Gladiator Beasts because you kill your own dude. And then when you kill your own dude, you shut off your own Chariot. I wonder what the thought process is there behind the Torrential Tribute. Yomero's a very powerful duelist. Don't get me wrong, he's a very powerful duelist. And this 5 draw spell Gladiator Beast deck means you're going to be seeing stuff very consistently. Like, your opening hand is going to be pretty much exactly what you want it to be almost every single game. Jar of Greed also has a hidden strength that it pretty much makes it so your opponent, like, has misses on Icarus attack, or has misses on like a blind heavy storm, or has misses on like a blind typhoon, where they can actually go minus by, playing back row removal against you, dust tornadoes, Raikos, that kind of thing. Jar of Greed lets you play around all of the removal in this format. So it's a really interesting adaptation. I actually quite like it from Yomero. I think this is definitely something we should be experimenting more moving forward with. I think it's pretty solid. The Upstart Goblins, again, I'm not really sure why. Giving your opponent's life points in this aggro deck doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. And also, you don't really have anything in particular you're drawing towards. He's not even maining the Dust Shoot, which is like the one thing you'd want to upstart into. I guess it's just to make sure you have like essentially a 35 card deck and you're drawing very consistently, seeing your Chariot early very consistently, seeing the multiple back row very consistently. I'm not really sure. He's playing the full 3 copies of Book of Moon as opposed to JZap's 0. This is something I'm a fan of in Gladiator Beasts. I do think Book of Moon is very good in this deck. This might be the best Book of Moon deck in the format. This Black Wings or Fairies might be the best Book of Moon decks. Book of Moon is really good in Black Wings. I'm surprised people don't play it more than they do. But this deck it's very good in as well. You can like summon Bestiary, pop their back row if they try to bottomless you. You have Book to protect it. You have a lot of different ways to play through that kind of stuff. This list looks very tuned. It looks very tuned. It looks like he knows what he wants from the deck. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it looks like he knows. And that's what matters. That's how he got 5th place in this tournament. Sideboard, interesting. He's got the Secutor and the Spirit Reaper. I do really like Spirit Reaper and Glads. It's a card that I think the deck needs somewhere. Maybe, especially if you're not playing Tiger. If you're playing Tiger, you don't really need the Reaper, but if you aren't playing Tiger, then you need time against some decks. Like against Dragons, you just need a way to buy time, because you can't really piece anything together against Dragons because their monsters are just too big. Brain Control, obviously for the mirror. Mind Control, obviously for the mirror. Double Defissure, great card in this strategy. Double Knock, great card. Twister for Oppression, as well as another Dust Tornado, or a single Dust Tornado for Oppression. Double Light Mirror, second Trap Stun, double Pulling the Rug. All straightforward stuff. Nothing too out of the ordinary. The side deck Secutor is very interesting too. I wonder if he just brings that in matchups where it's good. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think Secutor is good in general without Tiger. I think you kind of need Tiger for Secutor to be good. It seems really hard to like get it out and then get another battle phase with it if you don't have Tiger, basically. Like it's just hard to initiate. I'm not sure. Not sure exactly. Anyway, moving on. We got Phil, 4th place with Blackwing Vayu hybrid deck. We've seen similar lists like this do well in the past. This is basically what everyone's about right now. This is the new heat. This is the Monster Gamer 13, if you will, but more jam-packed with monsters. This is more similar to, I believe, the Swedish players list. Gosh, which Swedish player? What's this? He's very powerful. He did really well in the last RBET. Oh, it's gonna bug me. It's gonna bug me. I know his name. What's his fucking name? God damn it. I know his name. Hold up. No, now I need to find out. Hold up. We're figuring it out. We're figuring out who this player is. They're very powerful. They're powerful duelists. They did really well in the last tournament. I don't even remember. What was their thing? What was their thing in the last tournament? I don't even remember. God damn it. J4. He's like second place on the ladder right now. J4, that's who I was thinking of. This is the J4 list. Yeah, this is very similar to the J4 list. You got the Gores, you got the Starlight Road, you got the Trap Dust Chute, no Bottomless, no Deep Prison. Just completely leaning into the strength of the Blackwing monsters and the strength of Dark Grepher. This is a hyper aggressive list. You're gonna get a lot of fast kills with lists like this, and you're gonna get a lot of early pressure with lists like this, but you don't have a lot of defense. So if your pressure gets broken up, like let's say you get Mirror Forced early on, or you get Torrentialed early on, or your aggression gets stunted by like a Bottomless Trap Hole or something, then you're not gonna have a lot of defense on the way back. You've really only got the one Mirror Force, the two Oppressions, and the one Solemn as ways to protect yourself if your monster gets removed with lists like this. So it's a bit of a gamble to play stuff like this, but it definitely paid off for Phil. And Phil played amazingly. Honestly, like he played so good this event. I watched a lot of his games, and he was just playing out of his mind. He was one of the most fun players to watch in this entire event. These types of decks, like, they may look like super powerful, super whatever, but they're actually really difficult to pilot correctly, I think, especially in an event where everyone is gunning for the deck and you're still able to make top 4. That's very impressive. Sideboard, he has all those defensive traps, so he can sort of modulate into a more grindy, controlling version of the list. He's got the double deck dev for the Fairy matchup and the double light mirror for the Fairy matchup. I wonder if that came up for him. He's also got double deepers and double bottomless for the mirror. So, very interesting stuff. And then, I think... No, that's it. That's all I wanted to say about this list. I think Phil played very well. Double Catastor, very interesting. Probably for Lightsworn. He probably wanted a second one for Lightsworn, or for Fairy, or for both, honestly. Third place, Lightsworn, speaking of which. Burn Dig got third place with Lightsworn. This list is very, very interesting. A lot of interesting stuff. You get the one of Gold Sark, electing to play only one, not two. He's got triple Raikou. He's got double Jane, single Lila. This is an adaptation some players have made. I still think double Lila is good, but that's just me personally, because Lila is a 3-mil card and Jane is a 2-mil card. But Jane also does have the added benefit of attacking over Sirocco, attacking over Shura, attacking over all that other stuff. So I think Jane is solid in the meta. I just wish it milled 3. He's maining the Arcus, as well as like... That's it. That's the only thing that's like kind of... I mean, it's a pretty straightforward Lightsworn deck. It's pretty straightforward. Sideboard, nothing too crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. I guess the biggest thing would be the one Royal Oppression. That's a cool tech. Double Book of Moon. He can go up to 3 Book of Moons post board. I think Lightsworn is just, again, another solid deck with Book of Moon. I mean, this is just a really solid list, really consistent list. It looks very tuned. It's hard to like really look at this and pick something that's wrong with it. It just looks like he knew what he wanted. Arcus is good at dealing with Icarus attack from Blackwings. He's good at dealing with Kai's Shadow Monarch, which is one of the most popular cards in the format. The list just looks solid. Very good job to Burn Dig. Very well done. Very, very powerful list. Next list, also Lightsworn. Second and third place, both Lightsworn decks. This one's a little bit wackier. This one's from Kion97. He's got 41 cards, so electing to go slightly over the consistency amount. Double Beckoning instead of double Decree in the main. Double Gold Sark instead of just playing the 1. He's also got an Avarice for Recursion, no Monster Reincarnation. You'll notice he's got the Chaos package in his deck, which is like usually the DD Crow, Chaos Sorcerer, and Trigodia. These are 3 cards that you don't normally play, and then a Phantom of Chaos as well. Phantom of Chaos is based. This card is nuts. You can use it to either copy Lumina or Lila like early in the game, or copy Card Trooper as well, or you can use it to copy like your payoff monsters like JD or Chaos Sorcerer. Plus, it's another dark for your Chaos Sorcerer. I think Phantom of Chaos is actually pretty good in this deck. I think it's definitely worth considering if you're into, playing Lightsworn or milling strategies. It has a lot of application. There's some cool stuff you can do with it. Magical Merchant, also another cool tech. Could have been the cut, but it worked out well for him and got him to second place in this tournament. So Really solid stuff. Really solid stuff. Sideboard got 2 Consecrated Light for the very popular Blackwing deck, and obviously it worked out well for him. And 2 Decree, 2 Dust, again for the very popular Blackwing decks. My Body's a Shield, Kaikus, and Cyber Dragons. No more Crows, just the one in the main. Makes sense. Makes sense to me. Double Vortex. We see this a lot nowadays. Double Vortex for clearing stuff, usually in tandem with the Kaiku. Pretty good list. Pretty solid stuff. And then, of course, first place was Blackwings from HT19. This list looks a little bit more like what we're kind of used to seeing. A little bit. It's still more on that J4, like, very monster-heavy list, where you've just got somewhere in the ballpark of 24 to 27 monsters, and you're just hoping to get those early kills. He's got a main deck DD Crow. I wonder how well this did for him this weekend. I know a lot of people have said you could main deck DD Crow and Blackwings because of Allure and Icarus, but if I'm ever setting a DD Crow to turn on my Icarus, like, something's gone wrong. That's how I feel, at the very least. His spell cards, very slimmed down. No Typhoon in the main. No Mind Control in the main. These are 2 cards that are usually played in Blackwings. No Burial, either, unlike in the other list. No Burial. Kind of interesting. Electing to go for these 1 of trap cards. He's got 1 Bottomless, 1 Dark Bribe, 1 Deep Prison, 1 Oppression. Probably, again, preparing for the mirror matches, which were going to be everywhere, more or less. And then, sideboard, fairly standard stuff. Not much to say here. I mean, the only crazy thing is the 7 tools, but that's really it. That's really it. I mean, it's the J4 Blackwing list. It's tried. It's proven. A lot of people still struggle with the aggression of it. He's got no deck devs in his deck. So I wonder what his matchups were. I'm curious. I might talk to him. I might message him or something and see what's up. I might not because I don't care that much, but I might message him. I might try to get some intel on like what he played against, because I'm curious. If you don't have deck devs, then I actually think Quick Draw becomes a bit of a harder matchup, especially if you're down to 1 Oppression. But that's going to segue me into the next point, which is the metagame breakdown. Quick Draw just wasn't played. There were 2 people playing Quick Draw Plant in the entire event, which is crazy. Because that's like the deck of the format. That's the deck everybody wants to play, right? That's pretty much it. That's literally it. It's just there's only 2 people playing it in the whole fucking thing. In the whole thing. That's kind of crazy. Very diverse metagame. We do see Blackwing and Hero Beat dominance. 11 Blackwing players and 8 Hero Beats. It's kind of hard to say that that's like dominance compared to like previous formats, or previous tournaments. I mean, 11 out of 140 isn't even 10%. So not even 10% of the field was playing Blackwing. But I don't know. Kind of interesting looking at the top main deck and top side deck cards. Caius the Shadow Monarch, now no longer the top main deck card. I wonder if this has to do with the metagame shifting. I wonder if this has to do with the metagame getting more aggressive, if it has to do with more people playing Hero Beat, Blackwings, Lightsworn, less people playing Quick Draw and Frogs. We saw hardly any Frogs or hardly any Quick Draw in this. It's pretty crazy, actually, to see like how different the meta in this tournament is from other tournaments. You'll also see that Fairy, while it isn't the most represented, there were still 5 people playing it. I believe the highest placing Fairy player got top 16, which is pretty impressive, actually. Going from like the RBETs when there's like 1 Fairy player, like in the entire event. Actually pretty cool to see 5 people on the deck. Also, Gladiator Beasts, 6 of them, 2 of them converting into top 8. Pretty impressive. Zombies also low-key fell off. Not as played as it has been in previous events. It's been upwards of the 2nd most played deck in some of the more recent events, but Synchro Combo just not really something people were looking to do in this tournament at all. Very low amount of Zombie, very low amount of Quick Draw, and then no Fish, none of that stuff, really. Very low Diva Frog. Very interesting stuff. Top main deck cards, Bottomless Trap Hole, Deep Prison. We're probably going to see the same 10 cards here, more or less, give or take a card every tournament. I mean, these cards they're in everything. Bottomless Trap Hole being the most played card in this tournament. It makes sense, especially if people are expecting that many Blackwings, which looks like they were. Sideboard cards, top 1 is Cyber Dragon, of course. 140 copies of Cyber Dragon. That means every other person had 2 Cyber Dragons in their sideboard, which is crazy. Dust Tornado, similar numbers, and DD Crow. So the top 3 sideboard cards, they're pretty much the same. The 4th one is interesting in Light Imprisoning Mirror. People must have been afraid of Fairies and Lightsworn. probably more Lightsworn. But maybe the Blackwing decks were like thinking, I need to start bringing Light Imprisoning Mirrors. If people are going to start playing these decks that, you know, do well against Blackwings, then I need to come prepared for the bad matchups. So I could see more people bringing Light Imprisoning Mirror moving forward. I could see that. Now, Pulling the Rug being the 5th card, that makes sense too. I wonder if we're going to see less Pulling the Rug now that Caius is kind of like falling out of favor. And the Caius decks are kind of like drifting. Every deck does kind of have a target for Pulling the Rug. I mean, Blackwing has Blizzy, Herobeat has Stratos, Lightsworn has Celestia, but it's not that common. It's not that common to see outside of the Caius decks. It's not that common to see people bringing in Pulling the Rug in those matchups. So I don't know. And then there's a pretty big drop off in the next most popular cards. At this point, it pretty much becomes what you want to sideboard. I'm surprised we don't see Kaiku on here at all. Given that Kaiku was one of the most popular in the last RBET, it's just not even in the top 10 here. Starlight Road, Royal Oppression, Deep Prison, Nobleman, Thunder King. All interesting choices. I don't know if Thunder King is actually that good in this meta. It's okay against Lightsworn, but I don't know if Thunder King is actually good against Vayu Turbo or Blackwing or Hero Beat at all. It's good against Zombie, but Zombie's not played that much. It's probably okay against Glad Beasts. Thunder King's pretty bad against Fairy. I don't know if Thunder King Ryle is where you want to be. It might be. If you have Honest, Thunder King gets a lot better. I don't know. Interesting stuff. All right, last thing I want to talk about in this top 8 video, this breakdown video, is this Insect deck that got 9th, which is crazy. Just barely missed out on top 8. This deck is fucking sweet. This was invented by Zytalos, taking some... Oh, fuck. I accidentally clicked on his profile. I didn't even know you could do that. That's kind of sick, actually. Fucking taking some inspiration from some of the insect stuff that's been floating around. I talked about insects in a video recently. I played against someone who was playing this deck. I've talked about it with a few other players. So this is tight. This is actually very different from the way I was approaching the deck. I was approaching the deck as more of like an aggro, like Blackwing style deck that was maxing Lair Wire and trying to like just beat people down really fast and play skill drain with like Arsenal Bug. But he's playing it in more of a combo line with like these Flying Kamakiri and these Howling Insects and these Gokupons. So the way these cards work is when they crash, they summon something from the deck or they search something from the deck. And then Verdant Sanctuary says whenever an insect monster is destroyed by battle or by a card effect, you get to add an insect monster from your deck to your hand. So the way it works is you can summon Flying Kamakiri, you can crash it a bunch of times. If you have a couple of Verdant Sanctuaries, you can get like +4, +5. And then from there, you have a hand stacked full of monsters, and you hopefully just draw into all your trap cards. You set up with for the return by banishing a ton for your Aztecapedes. This is usually what you're searching for. He's your fast play. And then you can do some pretty cool combo stuff. Plague Spreader Zombie actually allows you to make Underground Arachnid, which is one of the best synchros in this format that sees 0 play. Let's go ahead and see if we can click on this card. This card is very good. It says, when this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate spell or trap cards until the end of the damage step. So that means no Deep Prison, no Mirror Force. Already very good. But then its second effect is where this card really shines. Once per turn, you can equip one face-up monster your opponent controls. This card is an equip card. So you can priority kill a monster your opponent controls. Fucking awesome. And then if it would be destroyed by battle, you can destroy the monster that was equipped instead. This card's an absolute house against Blackwings. It's an absolute house against Glads. This card is just very good in general. You take a monster, and then your card is difficult to deal with. Once this card sticks, it's very hard to get off the field. It's like a relinquished that you can't. Deep Prison or Mirror Force. It's really solid. So including the Plague Spreader makes sense here. He's playing Spider, 1 Man-Eater Bug as a tutorable removal spell, 1 Arsenal Bug as a beater under Skill Drain, double Beetle to help against Vayu and Blackwings, and probably against Lightsworn to some degree too. It just helps you stun down their monsters, switch them to defense. He was main decking a Crossword Beetle for the pierce damage. I think that's pretty important, actually, having the Crossword Beetle, making sure your Aztecapedes can pierce against the token matchups. That can maybe get pretty difficult for you. Not main decking or side decking Heavy Storm. Very interesting. If you guys want to see a more detailed, in-depth look into this deck from the creator, he actually posted it to his YouTube channel, Who Needs Meta. I don't know if you guys watch them, but they upload a lot of paper videos. I think it's 2 dudes. They upload a lot of paper videos. They play a lot of old format stuff. Super cool YouTube channel. Cannot recommend them enough. And super powerful duelists. As you can see, getting to 9th place in a 140-person tournament with an insect deck is pretty wild. We're definitely going to be playing this deck on Meta Breakers at some point this week. So Make sure and stay tuned for that. Leave a like, leave a subscription if you guys are digging the content lately. And let me know what's up in the comments below. See you guys in the future. Peace out.